What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. Hope everybody's doing well, and let's dive straight into things. So it looks like we had CPI today. I did completely forget to check the economic calendar this week, but you can see that price ran right above our target, that our target from earlier in the week, and then we had a large reversal on the back of it. Now what we do have right here is a breaker, which I'm going to be drawing our attention to. So this is the hourly right now. I am going to get the daily dividers up. In fact, let's look at the daily first. Yeah, pretty classic in terms of the nonsense that CPI tends to give us, but let's go back now to the hourly. I'm going to quickly put the daily dividers up. So we want Wednesday defined here, Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll also get Sunday marked out as well, which is right here. And then let's just mark out Thursday, like so. So what I'm expecting now is the Sunday opening price, which is right here. I'm expecting that price is going to attempt to try and get back below it. So I'm going to get rid of a few things just to clean up the charts. And I'm going to make this red and dashed. And it'd be nice to see if price can pull back to the Sunday opening price and trade on the other side of it. Because after seeing this kind of displacement and seeing the way we've closed below this low, as far as I'm concerned, price should be able to trade on into the downside. So I'm going to get rid of this now. I'm going to get rid of this, get rid of this. We've hit our target, which I spoke about. Let's get rid of that. And let's just analyze it on a more local level. So you can see how we ran out buy side liquidity above Tuesday's highs, which is nice to see. And then we can also see that we have a break, and now we've got a swing high, we've got a low, we've got a higher high, and then we've got displacement. So I'm looking at this last down close candle as a breaker. So when price trades into this breaker, I want to see price turn around at it. So I'm going to make this red for now. And then I'm going to use this as a buffer for price. So as far as I'm concerned, if we can create the high in there during London tomorrow, that will give us a beautiful setup with an expectation to start running for that Sunday opening price as a first target. And then obviously below this large Wednesday low from a CPI after that. So it's all depending on how we act around here, but ideally price should find resistance around that. So I'm definitely paying attention to that. And then above that, just to complement it, we do have a fair value gap. So there's reason as to why price may want to attempt to trade into there. Let's make this black, and that just again will make it clear to us as to where we'd want to be looking for our shorting opportunities, with the expectation that price will be able to ideally roll over. But yeah, very interesting day nonetheless. Pretty classic in terms of CPI running out high and then expansion to the downside. But the reason I want to see us trade on lower and start moving the way down is because the way we bumped this buy side liquidity and then had such a large rejection and ran out the low. So we took out both sides of Tuesday, which is interesting. Classic return to equilibrium. But then on the higher time frames, let's go to the weekly real quick. Remember that target which I originally spoke about, which was it the weekly or daily? I believe it was this level, but this bearish order block is what I'm saying. We've traded into that now. So as far as I'm concerned, on a daily level, we should continue to see rejection away from it, back inside the range, and a hunt for internal liquidity between this low and this high. So it's more of a greater on here, this low as well. This is what I spoke about on Monday. Defo watched previous videos this week, but I was saying how I want to see price tap into this, and then and that's what happened when we traded into it. And the fact that we've done that now, as far as I'm concerned, price should be able to continue and pull back inside of itself. So it'll be interesting to see how price does trade tomorrow. But ideally, this all stays intact, and that can help line us up for some short opportunities. Now, don't get me wrong, we may not hit that Sunday opening price tomorrow, and we may not hit it on Friday. But this is just my draw as into where I want to see price draw towards. To be honest, I'd be happy for us trading, creating a high there, and then looking at this low right here, which has just been left. So this would be enough for me. I'd also be happy with that. So when I make these targets, it's not that price has to go there tomorrow and I want to trade it and hold on to it. It's a matter of this being a draw and an understanding as to where I want to see price continue to be pulled towards. I'm also looking at this down close candle as well as a breaker, which also lines up with our bias. So when we have stacked biases on different time frames, like I said, hourly we've got the last down close candle, and then on 15 minute we have a clear down close candle. Oh, was it the 5 minute I was on? But anyway, my point is when we have these stacks on top of each other like we have here, it should make it more of a strong PD array for us to trade off of. Yeah, so hope that all makes sense on dollar. Let's now head on to GBP USD. So GBP, just as anticipated, traded lower, took out that low which I was talking about, and then we had a large expansion on the back of CPI. I do like the way we've taken out this high, very nice. And now again, similarly, I'm going to be looking at the breaker. So GBP does seem to have a bit more of a deeper pullback. I hate when it does this because it does make it difficult and really ugly to trade. I'm going to clear it up completely. I'm going to delete everything. Let me just get the daily dividers up and we should be able to see where we are in the week so far. Oh, we've got some beautiful unemployment rates tomorrow, so that makes sense as to why we're seeing quite a divergence on pound in terms of it pulling much more deeper into its range. We'll probably see some expansion around 2 a.m. So our setup should perform around 1 a.m. ideally, if assuming that's at 2 a.m. Yeah. And honestly, guys, when you just understand price, time and then price, it makes things a lot easier. So we've got our Sunday opening price right here. And I'm looking for price to want to trade into this as a buy side target. And then let's talk about the breaker. So I'm looking at the last up close candle, but you can see that we're already inside of that, right? So with that taken into account, we just need to be a little bit more cautious, and with anticipating that price will likely trade a bit deeper into itself. So let's go to the 4 hour, and then we can look for more PD arrays such as this bullish order block here or this bullish order block right here. So I'll mark out this bullish order block here because it's the nearest. Then when we drop down to the 1 hour, you can see that also lines up with this bullish order block. So what's going to be interesting, and then what's going to be interesting to see is how price acts once it gets down deep into this range. We have a nice clear fair value gap. So ideally we don't trade any lower than 50% of that fair value gap. I'm happy for us to trade into it, but I don't really want to see us trade lower than this 50% level of it. And then I'd like to think that you can create a low and then trade on higher, with the, assuming that dollar can continue to trade higher. I do like the way we took out the buy side liquidity above Tuesday's high, so let's get that delineated. And then, like I said, we've taken out both sides of Tuesday after trading into a significant sell side target from the weekly or monthly, which I spoke about earlier this week. So these are all the things which are coming into account when I'm looking at wanting to trade it. And then technically this is a breakout because we have a low, high, lower, low, clear expansion. So trading into this range, which is also coupled with that fair value gap, as you can see the low of that, is reason as to why this is where I'd want to be looking for potential long-in opportunities, with the expectation that we can ideally trade to that Sunday opening price. Whether that's this week or next week, I don't know, but I'd like to see us price stack on top of itself and reach into these premiums. Again, just like dollar, I'd be happy that if it even just reaches here. It doesn't need to go all the way up here tomorrow, it doesn't need to go all the way up here tomorrow, it doesn't need to go it doesn't need to do all that. It's just that this is my draw, and then I want to see the low created at here being the lowest. So that would be interesting to see. So I hope that all makes sense. There's also a fair value gap right here. This is what we call a breakaway gap. So you see this gap down here. I do not want to see price touch this, and if it stays open, I'll be very confident in going long on pound for more of a greater term and looking for more premium PD arrays in the longer term. And we can talk more on this potentially tomorrow. But this is what we call a break. Ideally, this is what I could call a breakaway gap, as in I don't want to see price touch it. That would be a really nice setup for me, and I'd be happy with that. So that's going to be everything on pound. I hope that all makes sense. Let's now finish up on Euro USD. And then similarly, Euro hit, well, it looks like it. Euro traded down into this high, which is exactly what I was speaking about happening. So it's lovely to see us hit that target today, just as anticipated, and then trade much higher. So similarly, let's go down to the 4 hour. And then I'm looking at this bullish order block right here. So we do have quite a lot of weakness going on over here as well. Let's go to the hourly, and we have a nice fair value gap that price may want to try and trade into. But and let's get the daily dividers, and then I'm looking at that Sunday opening price as a draw. And yes, I am going to try and reply to some comments today or this week, because there's lots of comments I haven't replied to yet, guys, and apologies. I do see them. I've seen a few of them. I do plan to get back. I've just been extremely busy. This is quite therapeutic. Right, so there's that fair value gap there. Again, breaker low, high, low, low, expansion. But look, we're already very weak inside of it. So it's likely that this breaker, the move from here to here, is going to give way. So then what I do is I look for the next PD array, which would be this bullish order block. And I'm happy for price to trade down into that. Ideally it doesn't, because it is quite deep in the trenches, if you know what I mean. The more shallow it stays in imagine let's do some drawing, guys. If I can remember how to. So imagine there's a swimming pool right here. This is where I'm expecting them to accumulate. The deeper it gets, the harder it's going to be to swim out of it. What I want to see is us tap into it and then instantly leave it and use it as a springboard. It can trade all the way down into this level. It's not the end of the world, because that's the floor of the swimming pool. But ideally, it stays in the upper quadrant of the swimming pool. I don't really want to see price trading much lower than the 50% level at all. That would be the most. Just because, again, the more shallow we stay, the easier it's going to be to expand out and then run for buy stops. And we have buy stops above Wednesday's high, and again that Sunday high, which I'm looking for. But the way it's grabbed this liquidity above here already, it's going to be very interesting to see the way that dollar moves, because these are just difficult conditions. But although I'm saying this, it doesn't just because I want to see this happen doesn't mean it will happen. It's very possible that price will fall through the pool, through the floor, and just keep trading lower, and that's fine, because as soon as it breaks this bullish order block open, as soon as it trades through that, I'm not getting involved. I don't want to trade it, and it'll probably keep running lower, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is that I'm using this as a barometer, as in this will be the lowest I'd allow price to trade for me to even think about going long. If I was to trade, ideally we're leaving this pool very quickly, and we start to see a reversal on a low time frame, maybe the 5 minute, that I can get into at the right time of day, maybe 2 till 5 a.m. And then that would be confident, because we've stayed in the upper quadrant, we've run out buy stops, we've had a clear reversal, and then I'll be confident. But when we start getting to that 50% level, 75% level, I don't really want to get involved. And then once it goes below that, I don't want to be involved at all. I just simply wouldn't trade. It's as simple as that, guys. Easier said than done, but that's just something to take into consideration. I hope that makes sense, but I treat it like a swimming pool. I don't really want to see us spend much time down there, otherwise we'll drown and fall through. So that's just something to consider, and one way to look at it. Because the more time it spends hanging around there, the less likely it is going to leave it. We don't like to see price hanging around. So that's something to consider. But it's nice to see that we've run out this buy stops up here, but now we have some relative equal highs. And then we've got to think about the south side of the curve. We've run right below these lows. So we've grabbed some kind of level of south stops. And now it's just a matter of seeing if we can get out of there. Same thing with dollar, but inverse, run out buy stops, clear this remember we hit a significant price level, which I spoke about this week. There's a clear inversion fair value gap, or inversion volume imbalance, as in there's no trading that's happened here. Trade on the downside this should now act as a bearish fair value gap. What happened? We traded into it. Has it acted as a bearish fair value gap? As of now, yes. So we're going to go with the bias as we're going to go with the bias as to what we're given. And again, just like the swimming pool, but this time it's more like a sky. I'm getting creative with this, aren't I, guys? Same thing. I'm happy for us to tap into it, but I don't want us to spend much time up there, because imagine it's like the Earth's atmosphere. I want to be able to breathe, so I want to tap in and tap out and start to roll on lower. So that's just something to consider. Now, price also, another thing to take note is that price doesn't even need to trade all the way up there before it goes lower. There's been times, and this could be one of those times as well, where price will just start trading lower straight away, as in it will fail. It just won't. This is one. It just won't bother go up there. It doesn't want to do that. It will just roll over, and then in the new day there'll be a small rally, and then it'll just expand lower. So that is also a possibility. It's easier to look for a setup when it does give you some kind of premium, and when it does have days like this when it rolls over. So if we see in the Asian range that its price is rolling over, what I'll do is I'll use the Asia range. So let's say it forms between here and here. I'll use the Asian range in the new day, and what might happen is it might tap into, say, the 25% level off. It will tap into it, and then it will expand. And then at this point, let's use a different color. And then it's at this point that you want to go short, and you'll know that from how the Asia range forms. And I've done videos on the Asia range before, but I might make another one just to be clear of how important it is during the London session to look for it, to then look for opportunity, because it doesn't need to be all up in this premium zone. So this is another way in which we can deliver to the downside. So remember, this is my target. It doesn't, ideally we rally and then go down, but if it doesn't, that's fine, it'll roll over, and then I'm looking at the Asia range as my setup to form. So I hope that makes sense. Same thing on GBP, but inverted. So price doesn't need to come all the way into the depths. It could very well in the Asia range rally back inside of itself. If it creates Asia range, it might be between here and say here, and then it might trade higher, and then we'll see a small pullback. Maybe it'll tap into the Asia range, maybe the 50% level, maybe the 25% level, maybe not at all. High impact news, and then it'll just take off, and then it'll be at this point when it's inside the Asia range that I'd want to go long, because I'm not expecting that it's going to come down here again if it hasn't done it. If it's not already down there by the time we open. And then it also depends on where the Sunday opening price is. So if the Sunday opening, if the opening price is around here, this would also help, because ideally it dips below it only slightly. So if price opens here, anytime it goes below it, assuming we're bullish, and we've had a strong Asia range, then there's no reason that this wouldn't be a good buy. So there's different ways it can deliver to this buy side liquidity. There's different ways it can deliver up to here. It's not that it has to come down, it's just that typically we see some kind of run on stops and then it will trade higher. So we just anticipate it, and I do that by giving these levels, by marking these levels out. And you can see a perfect example of that was this week, when on Monday there was certain levels which I drew our attention to, saying I want to see price trade up here and then trade low, and that's exactly what happened. Go watch the video if you haven't yet. But yeah, I hope that all makes sense, guys. A little bit of food for thought. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list. All the links are in the description, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.